Welcome into Missing the Point on the 617 Podcast Network. We are so glad you're back. And we're here with good news. The Celtics have achieved a 2-1 lead over the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals. 6 months ago, I don't think anyone would have expected me to be saying that sentence. So, job not done. We know that. But I think we can celebrate just a little bit. Defending home court, which I think was a sort of a worry, considering some of the home court performances that we've had over the course of the playoffs. We're going to get into individual player performances against in what I would consider a weird game 3. I'm glad that we won it, but it contained a plethora of emotions as usual. Another disastrous third quarter. We'll get into that. But they got their shit together and figured it out. And the Golden State Warriors are so upset about it. So I want to start with that.
They're so upset.
Just as like an overall, we'll go from the post game here. Just as an overall, Ray, I'll start with you. Reaction as a team that the Golden State Warriors are having. If that was the Celtics, would you be saying, yeah, no, I'm glad they're pissed off? Or would you be being like, yo, you're bitching about the wrong stuff. Like, shut up and get back to trying to win a game?
Probably the latter, saying you're bitching about the wrong stuff. It's just, just shut up and play, bro. Like, and this is one time when it's okay to say shut up and play. I know we talk
different context.
Way different context, but yeah. So it's okay to tell them to shut up and just play, right? I've been thinking about this because I felt that we were gonna either leave with this or bring it up at some point during the conversation. This feels like, and we talked about 1991 before, like we talked about saying this was like the 91 Bulls.
That thought's been in my head since you said it, like at a pretty constant, to be honest.
No, I love it. I'm glad that you were thinking about it. I'm glad we're on the same page with that. But this kind of feels like what Detroit was doing in 91 when they knew that Chicago had finally woken up, they knew, and Chicago knew, Detroit knew, Chicago knew, NBC knew, everyone knew that Chicago was the better team, and it was Chicago's time to be ushered into the new era of
Jordan was Jordan.
Basketball.
There was no turning back from that point on.
Right, exactly. So he had paid his dues, so to speak. Like, that's what's going on. So Boston's paid their dues, so to speak, and especially with this core. So now it's like, okay, 5 years in, few conference finals under their belt. They've had the pain, and as we talked about, the pain is not going to compare to what to the joy that's about to come. So, or potentially coming in a few games. So. But they're bitching about the wrong thing, and they just need to sit back and realize, like, hey, you were doing some of the same stuff in 2015, 2016 against Cleveland, but once again, that's a whole other topic for another day. But it's really a pot calling the kettle black situation, if you ask me.
Sure. Bobby, Ray says that it looks to him, if I'm reading between the lines correctly, that the Golden State Warriors already know they're fucking toast. If anybody knows it, it's the people out there in the court. They can feel who's better, So, Bobby, do you agree? I have a sneaking suspicion you might. It's like just hazarding, right. I guess, that you might be on the same page about this. But do you agree? And then, what do you think about the kind of national stage that Boston Celtics fans are taking to be very Boston in their chant? Fuck you, Draymond. Yelling shit from the stand. Oh, there's kids there. Listen, man, those kids are going to grow up swearing because of their zip code, not because of the fact that their basketball teams in the NBA Finals. Is my opinion on it. But what do you think? Are we not classy like Klay Thompson says? And do you think we're in their head?
Yeah. I mean, so when you look at a Boston crowd, right? This is what really just annoyed me about the whole thing. Is like this isn't new. This was the most predictable chant that has ever happened in TD Garden is fuck you, Draymond. After his comments, after the way he's been playing, it's just the way Boston reacts and the way we react as a crowd to someone in that stature who is our mortal enemy during an NBA basketball series. It's happened. It happened with, was it Bobby Portis? Listen, I heard a Boston crowd chant at Joakim Noah. Noah has swine flu. That was an actual chant that happened at the TD Garden. Like, this isn't new news or anything like that. And if you're asking me, it's 100% in the Warriors' heads.
You know what I mean? My first thought when I heard Klay Thompson's quote was, dude, you should have heard what we were saying to Jason Kidd. if you think that's bad,
That's what I
like,
mean.
good
Like,
Lord, you know what I mean? So I just, I like that about us. To be quite honest with you, I like that about our team. I like that about our crowd. And it's to be expected. Like, I'm just surprised they're showing their hand like this, that it's like very clearly getting under their skin, because I think that all of that's going to do is encourage the crowd to do it more. I think it leads into an interesting point about the man himself that sort of bulletin board materialed our crowd up, Draymond Green. Hilarious stat line. I think it was that Charles Barkley coined the phrase Mr. Triple Single. I think it was just horrendous, an embarrassing stat line, especially after talking all that shit, to Grant Williams, and Grant Williams having the day that he had, kind of in tandem with the big man Rob Williams. So, Ray, talk to me about Draymond. You know, I'd say he's had 1 out of 3 good games, and the other 2 have been pretty much, he's not only bad, but he's a full-on liability to the Warriors. What do you do if you're Steve Kerr with him? And do you tell him to keep doing it? Do you tell him to keep being Draymond and just trying to play his way out, or do you tell him to shut the fuck up?
So before you even get into that, I'm so glad that you brought him up right away, because story time, right? So I'm coming up. I'm coming up the elevator with Eddie Palladino. For those who know who that is, that's the Celtics PA announcer. You know him, and JT43. That's the boys. That's his name. That's what you hear. So him and I come up the elevator. He's like, we're talking. Hey, what's going on, man? And so I told him before he walked out, I said, hey, man. I said, I would love for you to hear. I would love to hear you say that Draymond Green has been fouled out or ejected. He was like, yeah, we'll see what happens. and lo and behold, he gets his 6 foul. And I was like, that's crazy that we were sitting there laughing about that before the game. So yeah, I can say, Eddie, you're the good luck charm, big fella. But yeah, that was awesome. But no, listen, Kerr knew this, coming in, probably getting the job, that Draymond was talkative, right? This is what he does. I think he talks to get himself going. He talks to get his teammates going. And truth be told, I think he likes to bring the best out of his opponents as well. I think he's a fan of Tatum. He's a fan of Jaylen Brown. He's a fan even of Grant Williams, even if he is showing that he's being, kind of dogmatic in how he's approaching it. Like, I think he's like, oh, they're us. They're us when we were looking on, when we were on the rise. But remember, Golden State lost to Denver. They had lost to San Antonio. They lost to the Clippers. Like, they had a little stretch where they were kind of fighting and climbing. So now I think they see it like in the rearview mirror, like, oh, like this team, the objects are closer than they appear. But the Celtics are real close. And I think he realizes that. But to Steve Kerr's thing, like, it's like, look, he's gonna say, look, this is what Draymond does. And I think, you can't take away what makes him him. Even if it pisses you off as a fan, it may sometimes piss you off as a teammate, organization, whatever, so on and so forth. He has to be who he is in order for him to be at his best, and in order for Golden State to operate at their best.
And from a tactical basketball standpoint, Bobby, regardless of, I think, what he's doing to get himself going or trying to, get under the other team's skin or whatever he is trying to do, from a basketball perspective, I'm pretty happy to have him out there these days, to be honest. And I think something I really respect about the Celtics strategy, and I think this has been kind of a hallmark of Jaylen Brown's performance, which I think we should come on to talk to next when we finish this Draymond Green conversation. A hallmark of his performances has been self-belief and self-confidence in one-on-one situations. I think that he has a chip on his shoulder, from my point of view, when they put guys on him that shouldn't be defending him from his point of view. So I've loved him, his reactions to situations like that. I've loved his reactions to getting got on the defensive side, going back offensively and making plays. And honestly, I've loved his performance overall in this series. So, Bobby, Draymond Green kind of does a good job on Jaylen Brown in game 2, right? He's kind of chasing him outside. He's like staying in his face. Jaylen can't really get it going. We have our typical turnover night, and everything just sort of falls apart. Instead of looking at Draymond and being like, shit, maybe we should switch. Maybe we should try and get Draymond off of JB. They say, let's give Jaylen Brown the ball in the first quarter, where he has honestly consistently performed his best, and let's give him a little room to run. And let's see what Draymond can do if he comes at him at 100 miles an hour. And I think it was pretty obvious that Draymond Green, who is an all-defensive player, you could put him on an all-time defensive list, but that's a debate for another day. he is getting up there. But Bobby, JB sort of fucking had him on toast in that first quarter, and I think that was indicative of then the rest of the game. And he came up with some big plays later. What do you think Steve Kerr's reaction is tactically in that situation? Do you think he wants to see more of trying to get back to game 2, Draymond on JB, or is he like they've completely exploited that matchup?
Well, I feel like it has to be they've exploited that matchup. You know what I mean? When you get a guy as athletic as Jaylen Brown, and look, this isn't Draymond Green of 3-4 years ago. This isn't Draymond Green of 2016 who could possibly drop 32 points in games. Like that Draymond Green is dead and gone. You know, this is someone that he uses those mind games and he gets in people's heads, and he's got so much basketball awareness at this point that those athletic negatives don't necessarily show up as much because he can get in people's heads and things like that. So yeah, I mean, you have to do something at this point because it's been exposed that Jaylen Brown is clearly more athletic than Draymond Green, can clearly take him off the dribble. And if Draymond's not being that menace, not, as the Celtics even said, trying to muck up the game and being successful at that, Draymond's not going to be a successful player on the court. You know what I mean? And he is someone that I feel like when Jaylen is at his best and isn't turning the ball over, isn't driving into traffic, doing those things, he can take him off the dribble every single time. And it's something that you have to adjust to if you're Steve Kerr. This series could be over kind of quick.
Yeah. Ray, from a defensive point of view, do you think that you as Steve Kerr have to keep Draymond in there for his defensive presence and trying to get back to that part of the game? Because if you ask me, and correct me if I'm wrong, he is such an offensive liability that he puts them in a situation where I'm not saying they can't do this because I think they're the best that there ever was at this, but they get themselves into a shootout, because I don't think he's playmaking the same way from the inside that he used to be a few years ago, or even in past series, he was able to do it. I think our athleticism and our length is really preventing it. So what do you do? It's a loud move to limit Draymond's minutes in this situation. What do you do if you're Steve Kerr?
I think, you go with Brunson to the dance, and you can't, do a 180 at this time of the year. Yes, you have to make adjustments in the series. That's what the 7-game series is for. But once again, they've been to 5 finals together. They've won 3 together. I just think that there's something that, you give him as much leeway, as much rope as you can, before it's something that you say, okay, I have to drastically change this. So that could be tomorrow, as we record this on Thursday. It could be something that is on in game 4. It could be game 5 back in San Francisco. So I just think that Kerr has to really ride with who brought him there. Now, maybe that giving more minutes to Jordan Poole, but Jordan.
That was gonna be my next question.
It's not the
crucial minutes. Crucial fourth quarter minutes, I think maybe went to the wrong guy from their perspective.
Gary Payton II probably should get a little bit more minutes than that, but it's hard because he's coming off an injury that he's been out for a while. So he's a hell of a defender, but it's hard to ask him to ramp it up like that in the NBA Finals when he hasn't been on the stage before. And he was okay. In game 3, but once Tatum and Brown really started to get going, and even Smart too, to a lesser degree. Well, not even lesser degree, they always had 24 or more, but they were special. And once they figured out how to attack them, essentially, it was a wrap. But yeah, maybe because of his physicality, you put Draymond on Tatum instead, maybe. But he's woken up Jaylen Brown. There's no other way to say that Jaylen Brown has taken this shit personal. Like there's no other way to say it. He said, "Oh, you actually think you could guard me?" Or, "Oh, you think that you're gonna try these bullshit tactics against me and the team?" Absolutely not. I'm attacking you every single time until you stop me. So I love what I've seen from Jaylen Brown. Like I said, we'll speak more about what he'll deserve if they end up winning, but. Yeah,
that's honestly a perfect transition because Jaylen was the next person I wanted to talk about it. Like, I think game 6 against Milwaukee was the last great game that we saw Jayson Tatum have. However, I think since then he's found a way to contribute in a huge way and be a big part of the reason his team wins in ways that aren't just volume shooting and scoring sort of coming along in a wagon train behind that. I think he's doing a good job of not shooting his way out of situations. But I think the big thing that's helping him is that Jaylen Brown is stepping up when he needs to step up. Has he slid into the number 2 role? As we've discussed thematically, he's done it. He's accepted it. But in accepting that, I would wager that if we stop this series right now and the Celtics win it 2-1, I would wager that it would be very difficult for you to justify to me or anyone that's been watching it that Jaylen Brown isn't the finals MVP as of right now. So as much as, Tatum's had some great playmaking and I've been sticking up for him, Jaylen Brown is the main reason, if we're going to highlight anyone, why, in my opinion, why we are up 2-1 right now. So talk to me about the themes of the dog that we've seen in him a little bit more than Tatum since the start. And also, what is it that what do you think it is that fuels his performances early in games so much? And I don't even think he necessarily fades. I just think the Celtics strategize to exploit the fact that he's now a problem the other team has to deal with. So now you go to your other weapons. I don't think he actually fades in the game. What do you think it is that gives him such a spark at the very beginning of games? Is it his athleticism? Is it the way his game develops? Talk to me about it.
I think it's the game plan. If you know what I mean, when it comes to how these past 2 rounds have gone, it's very clear that the primary defensive objective for both the Heat and the Warriors is to shut Jayson Tatum down. There've been constant double teams, just constant traps, constant swarming him as soon as he gets the ball. So it's just as a matter of good basketball, you have to adjust to that. And Jayson Tatum has shown that he can do that by, putting up a career high in assists in game 1 and doing these things to get Jaylen involved. So I feel like it's all game plan by our boy Ime. And just,
you got it.
I did. That's
first try.
That's 3 shows in a row, man. 3 shows in a row. It's very clear that that's such a focal point, is to get Jaylen going and almost making the other defenses, have to be honest with Jaylen. They can't just throw everyone at Jayson Tatum, because when you have Jaylen Brown, who is absolutely dominating athletically, your supposed best defender, your big Marcus Smart, then, you don't have a choice but to kind of fade off of Tatum. And then you see Tatum take over in the second and third quarter. And then it's just this constant battle of who do you go on? And it just makes it so much more beautiful when Jaylen's hitting those shots, man. It makes Tatum's job so much easier and makes him be able to go, what did he go from 3 of 19 in game 1?
Yeah.
It makes him be able to do that, but we still win the game by 14 points. So it's a constant. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I think that's a great transition also into zooming out a little bit. I think to take a look at this whole Celtics squad, I think we have 6 to 7 guys that we can rotate that play elite defense at this point. And I think that the team defense is great, but I think our one-on-one defending is unmatched, has been unmatched in this entire playoffs. And I think the ability to trust everyone defensively leads into everyone trusting everyone offensively, which is a harder level of trust to build, because I think you can build defensive trust through hard work and drills and rotation and knowing where you're supposed to be and when you're supposed to be there. But I think it takes a lot more nuance and a lot more intangibles to build offensive trust. So let's take Derek White, for example. In game 3, he's doing an okay job on Steph, I feel. I don't think he's as good on Steph as Marcus is. The numbers don't lie with how good Marcus has been defensively across this whole finals. But
he was absurd in game 3.
But
so
Steph just starts to do the Steph stuff, right? So you kind of go, okay. And Derek White's, we've talked about the Derek White effect is, what he's going to contribute in the first 5 minutes of every single game, right? Or maybe even less. So we kind of don't see him again afterwards. And we go to this Rob Williams, Grant Williams rotation where we're doing a really good job around screens and we're doing better on the pick and roll, that third quarter notwithstanding. What do you guys think about the fact that, Ray, for example, I'll go to you on this. You mentioned that Golden State was incredibly deep. And I argued with you thinking, well, they're at home. Their role players are just going to step up. Do you think our role players, our bench in general, do you think that we have a better bench than Golden State? And do you think that that's played a part?
I think game 1 showed that we had the better bench. I'm because obviously Derrick White caught fire, Pritchard had some moments. But then again, it's like you wasn't expecting Otto Porter on their side to get, 4 threes or, Jordan Poole to have 17 in game 2. So I just think it really depends. And you this is what you were alluding to too, DK. I think it really matters who's just on that night, right? Like there's some nights where I can say, man, when Derrick White, Payne Pritchard, and Grant Williams going, who's beating this team? But it is nice when you got Otto Porter, Jordan Poole, Iggy going off. It's like, well, how do you stop them if you got to still stop Draymond? I mean, not Draymond. You guys still got to stop Clay and Steph. So, I'll go the homer route though. I'll say that we were at our best. We're better. Even off the bench, in my opinion, even though those guys are very formidable, in my opinion, they're missing a big piece to me. They're like James Wiseman to me is someone that still could be, really good. I also expected Jonathan Kuminga to be.
Me too, man.
More of a.
Do you think that if you're a Warriors fan, and this is the missing the point, the Golden State Warriors hour, do you think you'd be mad that they underestimated how good their core was to get to this point, and then he should have added another piece towards the end of the trade deadline? Because I feel like they had room to maneuver that.
So yes, but in the same breath, they had the piece. He's on the bench. Jonathan Kuminga. I'm telling you, like,
bro, we've been saying it. We've been saying it.
In about a year or two, they're gonna be like, damn, they fucking stole him at 7. I'm telling you, like, he's going to be. He's 6'10", and he could jump out the building. He's gonna be another version of what people thought Wiggins was, but even to be even better. Because he can shoot it better than Wiggins, in my opinion. So. We'll see what happens, but no, I mean, listen, the ends justify the means. They got to the finals. Like Steph Curry said it last year, you don't want to see us this year. He was right. They're in the finals, so his prophecy held to be true. Now we gotta do our part and make sure they don't get there and win number 4 for him. But they got right back as soon as they were healthy. So it shouldn't really be a shocker that they're right back in this position because they made 6 out of the last 8 finals. Like, yeah, it's the real deal when they're on. Nevertheless, I'm looking forward to sending them home real soon.
So, Steph Curry, let's chat about him for a second. It feels like every time he fucking shoots, it goes in. We know this. We've seen him play.
He's so good, man.
He's incredible. I honestly think he makes his team better shooters by shooting with the confidence that he shoots at. I genuinely believe there's guys around him with higher percentage points from, frankly, stupid spots on the floor because they see Steph do it and the confidence builds around them. But talking about Steph, it's worked. I mean, we're up 2-1. Like, I'm just going to say that. I'll say that right off the bat. You guys have talked about it to me in the group chat. I've noticed it, and it's been very frustrating. The buzzword is drop coverage. Right? Why is it that pushing our big men around these screens, why are we sagging off the greatest shooter of my lifetime?
Yeah. What's so frustrating about it is, like, you see it happen in real time. Al's been doing it. They've all been doing it.
Well, it has to be an instruction.
Right. Exactly. And I don't know. I feel like they're protecting so much on that Steph floater and that Steph dribble drive that, like, for some reason, they're sagging off on that coverage, man. I don't know. I saw Ray shaking his head. Maybe he has. I honestly don't know why we've been doing it. But I can tell you that as the games go on, it seems like they adjust to it and they get more in his face. So I don't know if it's it sounds absurd, but trying to wear him out in the first and second quarter and letting him think he's getting his shot and then all of a sudden swarming him. I honestly do not know. I don't have a basketball answer.
We have taken a quarter from him almost every time he's taken a quarter from us.
Yeah.
So I'll say that. But it's just from a basketball fan of this particular team's point of view, the amount of times he gets to pop that quick release in absolute fucking open cold air is so upsetting to watch because it's going in when it leaves his hands. Talk to me, Ray.
Yeah, no, I was shaking my head out of frustration, not necessarily to have an answer, but no, but
I was just kind of hoping you did.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm going to give my best. All here it goes. Shout out to King the Kelp. No, so I don't necessarily know if it's really an instruction thing, more of an instinct thing, right? So when you're a bigger guy, so Horford, Williams, even Looney on their side, right? Although they can move their feet with a guard or a wing, instinctually, their instinct is to, I'm going to naturally drive back to protect the paint. So that's what's happening, right? But as you heard on the mic up, Marcus Smart said it in game 1. Hey, this is not Miami.
That ain't Jimmy Butler, bro.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, just you cannot back off, and keep going under these picks. So you got, and Antoine Walker brought it up. Talking about you blitzing them as you blitz or you hedge. One of those two things have to happen every single time. Every time. I don't care who's out there. And truth be told, and I know he's not a fan favorite on the show. But someone who should be good at doing that, blitzing every time,
Tice
really is Daniel Tice. He should be. He should be for not.
He doesn't do it though.
Fact is, he's not though.
He doesn't do it.
No, but it's just to me, it's just I don't know if it's a block thing. But
I love how we all knew who you were gonna say.
Yeah, we all knew.
Some people might listen and think that it could have been Grant, it could have been whatever, but it's just so Tice has the build for it.
He has the length.
He has the for it too. It's perfect, bro. What are we doing?
I feel like he tried it in the game 1. You know what I mean? Tice was out there a few minutes in game 1. I know it's because Williams was a little banged up, and he kind of needed to be. I know, but it's still, but it didn't stop what was happening. I don't know. He was all right. I don't know why we have.
Okay, I put it like this. So to me, they were able to steal. The biggest difference between game 1 and game 2. They were able to steal minutes with Pritchard and Tice on the floor, right? Because we know they're both not super great defensively. The effort is there, but obviously, Curry is Curry. Some other guys.
There are two biggest defensive liabilities that get meaningful minutes.
For sure. So that in game 2, that's hey, everybody in that third quarter caught fire. People that was in the parking lot coming into the game, they was able to get a shot at. It was out of control. That third quarter.
But it can't be a coincidence. It can't be a coincidence that they have great third quarters and we have shitty third quarters every single fucking game.
But the biggest thing, I think we shared it in the in our group chat earlier, they may kill the third quarter. We're dominating the fourth.
And I prefer it.
Shout out to our guy IT. That's winning time. Fine. Okay, great. You had a great third quarter. Okay, let's panic for a short moment. And actually, I pulled a Bobby last night. Did I not? Bobby's pulling me. He's going, man, I'm fucking pissed. I said, yo, there's a quarter left. Chill. You good? We good.
I was pissed about that call.
The flagrant one. Don't give. That's a joke. That was a joke.
The most fraudulent 7-point possession in the history of the NBA.
Yeah, that was wild. I knew that shot was going into when he believed us. What? The crowd was going nuts. Crowd was pissed off. Because it was almost like I went to go get water. And I came back. It was time. I said, "What is going on? What just happened? This is wild." So, but yeah, I don't know, man. We went on a tangent there, but it's just like I said. Listen, man, Tice, if you had this big dog, listen, you have me in you, but we need to see it, even for 2 or 3 minutes. We need to see those moments. You have enough athleticism to react, recover. That's what you have to do every single time. Every time.
I think speaking of it from a, and I'll go to you on this, Bobby. Speaking of it from a tactical basketball point of view, if you have a Rob Williams type getting hit around those screens, I think you can tell him to sell out on a stretch block to get a hand in Steph Curry's face. And I think he has the recovery time to because there's the point to be made. There's the alternative point to be made that if you're a bigger guy, Steph Curry's not actually just a shooter. He can play you one-on-one. He can go around you. And he's actually been doing a pretty good job of that in this series. It's not talked about it often because he is such an amazing lights out all-time greatest shooter ever, whatever the fuck. It's all anyone wants to talk about. But
it's so ridiculous.
He's a good playmaker too. He's a good ISO player. He can get there from the corner, especially if you have to come up really close to him on a shot. I'm okay if Rob Williams sells out and Steph goes by him, gets a step on him, and you just ride his hip because you know he's going to have to pass it. Because if you're riding his hip and he might be a little ahead of you, he's not dunking that shit. You know what I mean? He's not going up and yamming that shit down. He's going to put up a fucking layup. And if you're Rob Williams, your eyes light up. if you're on Steph Curry's hip and he puts up a little fucking floater, as we saw 4 key blocks in that last game, you know, and blocks that were on the block. My favorite one was the one on the Steph floater, timed fucking perfectly, just absolutely ripped out of the air. Just do that. You know what I mean? Make it beat you inside the perimeter. You got to do that. Yeah. Is he still good at that? Yes.
Yes.
You got to make him beat you in there. Right.
I'm glad you brought that
Go
part.
ahead.
Yeah. The next progression for Time Lord, right? Because listen, yesterday was his best game of the series. Really might have been his
He was unbelievable last night.
Best game of the playoffs.
Yeah,
best game of the playoffs.
So to me, the next thing I want him to do, when you pin it or when you block it, I want him to catch it and then go. Because he's a phenomenal outlet passer. You know, he's just as good a passer as anybody else on the team. Catch it and then go. Like, just don't. I get it. You want the moment. We're gonna see that on highlights some years to come. I get it.
There's 3 steps.
Grab it. Yeah. Pin it.
There's three steps to the play that you're talking about. And Time Lord's bad at step 2. He's good at step 1, and he's good if he gets there, he's good at step 3. But step 1 is get the fucking offensive rebound.
Get the fucking ball.
Get the
Grab
thing.
the ball.
I think he can do like or get the block. Make the play. That's step 1.
Right.
Step 2 is possess the ball.
Oh,
right. Possess the ball in a way. It's not even how tightly you have it. It's
how strong you have it
and quickly you can do it. So the other team stops gambling on the fact that you're fucking bobbling it like a hot potato in your hands every time you get into that situation. Because to be quite honest, when he lays out for the initial step 1, I think he takes a second almost every time to be like, nice.
Like, I mean, I could too.
But like, and you think so the one that stands out to me where he completed all that was when he went up for the easy. It was an easy layup. He clanged it, right? But he knew how much more athletic he was than Draymond Green, and he knew that ball was fucking his. He legitimately, like, Draymond's trying to get the rebound.
That was
probably
for Draymond, dude.
Probably
exactly the player you're talking about.
No, that's my fucking ball. I'm gonna lay this shit right back in, nice and easy, and that's the potential and like the upper level of Rob Williams. You know what I mean? And
we've been talking about his ceiling for the entire
so long
podcast, you know, and I think he's better. I don't think he's as good as he can be. You know, I think injuries aside,
I feel like he's been hurt.
He's always fucking hurt though, Bobby.
We've been having that conversation for 2 years.
Healthiest season though. This is his healthiest season though by far. So I hopefully that's the trend where he gets 65 games in. If we get 65 games for him, you are looking at the next.
That's a win.
Warriors.
Yeah,
that's 100%. I completely believe that. But now, but we talked about the defense, right? And listen, we got to. I give DK his flowers right now. DK been on that fucking train since we started this shit. It was like, hey, Rob, I need you because I know got to get a big man. And I'm like, no, like we got a guy here. He just has to grow into it. And man, has he ever?
For quick context, DK was cursing the Celtics for trading Bruno Fernando at the beginning of this. That's how much DK has wanted to
we need his
birthday. Traded Bruno. He's like, bro, we don't fucking talk about that. No. All right, we don't talk. Fuck this shit.
No, wait, there's more. He wanted Bruno Fernando. Moses Brown. I wanted Moses Brown too.
Moses Brown. No, it was Moses. It wasn't Bruno.
No, it was first of all, it was Moses Brown.
It was Moses Brown. Yeah.
Moses Brown. First of all, I'm going to say a couple of things on this. First of all, the real thing that pissed me off was not getting Miles Turner. That's where this all.
Right. That's what it was. Right.
Listen, that's like my original. That's like my OG Celtics battle right there. Right.
This is where it all fucking started because Miles Turner would have brought to the table what Time Lord's bringing to the table at his best, right? Or not at his best, but like, you know, what he's doing, what he did maybe last game. The Moses Brown thing, he actually really did have a really good second half of last season. And when we got him, you guys were like, he's just a piece. We're going to move on. It's like contract stuff. I just wanted some fucking length on the team. Like we just
wanted someone over 7 feet. That's, you know.
I mean, I did. But the thing is, Rob Williams, that's fine. He plays over 7 feet. It doesn't actually matter that he's 6'9". Because it's actually ridiculous that he's 6'9". It's like hard to believe that he's
the most 7 foot looking 6'9" I've ever seen.
Well, his arms are fucking long.
I've like obviously I've been the times that I've been near their locker room. Like, yeah, he's every bit of that. I said, you know, still maybe get a little bit stronger, and that will come. Obviously, he's only in his 4th year, but yeah, I wanted to go back to the offensive piece. I love that we brought that. That was hilarious, but I think that it's a whole. It's
just before you go, I just have to say, just in my defense, and I want to hear this point. I think that there's different types of basketball fans, and I think me and Bobby are like very similar about how we watch sports and like in general, but how we look at basketball and the ideal way that it's played is completely different, because I just think it's a coaching thing too. Different coaches are like this. Some people lean forwards, some people lean guards. Bobby leans guards, I lean forwards. When you have a Jayson Tatum type who is the longest guy on your team and he doesn't do any of that shit, it's fucking frustrating to watch. You know what I mean? But
right.
Yeah, but where Rob Williams doing it, I've piped down. I've completely fucking piped down on it because he's doing what he needs to do. And Al Horford bringing some stuff to the table.
When it comes to that was the piece.
Yeah,
that was the piece.
And
yeah.
I think I'm probably a wing guy. I think I'm big on.
Oh, you're right in the middle, bro. You're right in the middle. That's why it's the perfect trio.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm the guard. Yeah. He's a big man. And you're the wing.
I should like get on NBA 2K and just like, each player's positions. It'll work out perfectly.
Perfectly. But I feel like you have wings, you can do anything. But
welcome to Missing the Points Big 3.
Exactly. That's right.
I'm totally down to be D-Wade.
Yeah, hey,
that makes me Bosch. Fuck that.
I would definitely take 4 straight final trips, but no, we got to get one first. But no, back to Time Lord. I feel like the next thing outside of, like I said, obviously catching it and then giving the outlet pass, when he catches the ball in the paint, so if it's not for a lob, and every time it's not always going to be a lob. By the way, that pass from Horford to him last night was phenomenal. But just when you catch it high, finish high.
Please.
Catch high, finish high. Do not bring it down. Do not bring the old wine
right back up.
Perkins used to do. Just you catch it high, you finish high. So whether that's a lob, whether that's, because he did it a few times last night where he caught it, got the rebound, went right back up. I said, yes, because your second leap is better than people's first leap, Robert Williams. Like, I need him to understand that. Your second leap, Robert Williams, is quicker than people's first step. So just please catch high, finish high. Like that is fundamentals 101. Catch high, finish high, and then do the outlet pass. And I promise you're probably looking at the next All-Star, the Boston Celtics, Robert Williams.
I feel like what the problem is, and I feel like this is kind of a team-wide problem where they're so they have PTSD from the 3 to 4 years that happened leading up to this, where they heard so much about their ISO ball, and they heard so much about them being selfish, and they heard so much about them not making the extra pass. And I feel like sometimes with Rob underneath, with Tatum, with Jaylen, all these guys, that they have a tendency to try and find that perfect shot and to try and get everyone involved almost too much to where they've overcompensated for all these things that they heard about themselves. And it just kind of seems like it's a whole thing. Because listen, I completely agree. If Rob Williams went up strong with the ball and just took his opportunities where they were given to him, he'd be scoring 10 to 15 points every single night. But what he does is, as soon as he gets that rebound, man, you see it in his eyes. You see it. You know what I mean? You don't see him want to go back up strong. You see him be like, okay, who's on the perimeter that I can kick it out to? Where's this guy that's open for this shot? When it's like, bro, when you have a shot, it's almost like the hockey experience where you're sitting there like, shoot the fucking ball. And it's just, I feel like it's just a whole team thing that they have to get out of. But hey, I'd rather that than the ISO and the bullshit that we used to deal with. So like, I completely get where it's coming from, but I feel like that has to be, you know what I mean? Because what other excuse would there be for Rob Williams, who's more athletic, he's stronger, he's got the wingspan that's longer than anyone on the fucking floor, man. So it's like, I just feel like it's something in their heads that they're like, we got to get that shot, we got to get other people involved, when it's just got to be like, guys, go play your fucking game.
Here's what I would do if I'm on the Celtics coaching staff and I say like, Ime, give me 2 hours in.
It's just so effortless for you. You know, it just came.
Because it's 2 fucking syllables, Bobby.
I don't.
Ime. We got 2. Just give me 2 hours this morning. I want to do something a little different with the guys. They had the rest day yesterday. Let me do the warm up. Let me get them going. I'm gonna put Rob Williams right in front of the net in a 5-on-5 game of volleyball, and I'm just gonna teach Rob Williams how to set. You know, I'm just gonna teach him how to set, and I'm gonna teach him how to spike. And then when he's underneath the basket, we're gonna do a little Mr. Miyagi. Okay, remember when we were doing wax on, wax off before? It translates. Don't even catch the fucking ball. Don't even catch it.
Agreed.
Tip it. You know why? Because of exactly the point Ray just made. Your second jump is better than a lot of people's first jump. Your presence puts you in the right position. If you miss the tip, you've guided it in the direction that only you know about. You can go up for another tip and another tip and another tip if you want to. And you can just play fucking tippy toes right by the basket all you want, you know? And like on the offensive side of things. From a defensive side of things, don't do that. Right? Like, definitely don't do that.
There's the opposite of that.
There's too much of that going on, in my opinion, across the board with the forwards on our team when we're trying to get defensive rebounds. Too many slaps and tips.
Grab the fucking ball.
I want box outs and possession in those situations. And I don't even, I agree with you long-term, Ray, playmaking from that position for Rob right now, control the ball and we'll set up again. Just control the ball and we'll set up again.
We've seen it though. That's why I'm like, it's there.
Agreed. But it makes it all the more frustrating.
It comes out in spurts. You're 100%. Right. And that's exactly.
Yeah, I've seen him throw a bounce pass on the money, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is something that they need to unlock, because if he's doing it from the top of the key, and I said it on the show, at the show we did with Jared Weiss on here, I'm like, yo, if he's becoming that playmaker, he becomes Al Horford light. And if you add that 15-foot jumper, man, we're in business. And once again, you only need 8 to 12 points. You don't need something where he's going to get busy. I'm not worried about that. But just 8 to 12 points, that's not always you lobbing it home. Because once again, he even though he gets that threat, it's like, give a little push shot. It's okay. But I love what you said, Dave, about that. About just really that tip, catching the tip. Because listen, he is a former Celtic, but we know him as Atlanta Hawk. Dominique Wilkins was the master of the tip dunk.
Yeah,
he catched it off that. It was easy. So Rob, listen, YouTube is your friend. Watch how Dominique used to look at how he would catch the ball. Dominique was smaller than you, but your jumping ability is as good as Dominique's. That would be crazy. Remember that dunk that KG had on Paul Gasol game 1? Rob Williams to do that every single time. Every time.
Rob Williams is the most stereotypical walking double-double I've ever seen in my life. And if that man can
double-double with 5 blocks.
Right. Well, exactly. Yes.
Crazy.
If he can actually develop a jumper, which he actually has. I don't know if you guys have been on YouTube watching.
Yep.
Yeah, bro. I've been watching like their pregame warm-ups and like their practices and shit. Like they'll be like 2 little 2-3 minute videos. And Rob has a jumper. He can even extend out further than that, especially from the corner.
I don't know. I hate the thing is Paul on that. But to be honest with you, based on the positions that he takes up, and this is part of the reason why I love him, I would much rather he spent those minutes, hours, days in the gym working on a baby hook. Like we're working on just
based on what the NBA does anymore, though. It's not. I don't
know. I feel like he looks different enough. And he moves different enough, and he takes up positions differently enough that like a sky hook or a baby hook, or just a little spin move, he's got the athleticism to be able to create from under the basket. I think there's a couple of, and this is actually a good transition to move on and talk about, our resident penciled in superstar in Jayson Tatum. I think there's too many players on our team that can't play with their back to the basket. If I had an ideal world where I wanted, and this isn't a huge criticism of right now, because I think we've been playing great, and I think we have things we can do. But if I wanted Rob Williams to watch tape, Dominique Wilkins for sure, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for sure, guys that played with like that extra length and maybe weren't like enormous.
Hakeem, well, I feel like Hakeem is the dream. That's actually hilarious, but
of course. But if I wanted Jayson Tatum, and this is transitioning into talking about him. If I wanted Jayson Tatum to watch game tape, I think he's already good at a lot of things. And if I think I wanted to add some to his game, I would make him watch Kevin Garnett. I want to see him at the elbow, at the post.
Imagine if he had that.
He really doesn't. Okay. Like he really, really doesn't. I think when he turns his back to the basket, I think he gets 50% worse at basketball. And I think that if he developed a post game, you can write him into top 3 in the NBA.
It's funny though, because yes, I completely agree. He has 0 post game. What he does is he has the Paul. I don't know if it's the Paul Pierce fadeaway. He has that elbow fadeaway.
It's not automatic,
but it's not. You're right. It's not automatic, but it's there. But I just don't feel like that's the game that he's ever going to want to develop. I don't think it's a game that he'll work on to be. And if he does, I completely agree that he is
the last piece. It's the
bro. He's the superhero basketball player. You know what I mean? If he can develop an actual turnaround elbow jumper where he's backing someone down and can do the turnaround fadeaway, bro, it'd be all over for the rest of the NBA.
Wait, no, hold on. We've seen that. Remember? Okay,
wait, that's what I mean. We've seen it.
The game. Remember the game winning against New York a couple years ago.
No, I think it's there. That's my point.
It's like that. We talked about it last episode or 2 episodes ago when he faked the fuck out of Jimmy and get that little whoop, like that is there.
Yeah,
like
but it's not something he's doing consistently. That's my point. I think he can do it. I think he's built for it.
Yeah, no, but his I mean, he's got stronger each year. Like that's not. He's a Paul George type. That's his body. Like that. Paul George is the same, but you're not going to get those plays where they're backing someone down. I
don't know if I wanted to back somebody down. I don't know if I need him to go to work in the post. I'm not asking him to do that. I'm not asking our finesse.
Well, no, I'm saying
you're saying the pass at elbow in the turnaround.
Yeah, but even so, 1 dribble, 2 dribble, and then that either you're turning this way or you're turning the other way. I love when he does over his left shoulder, and I feel like that shot's more. It's more automatic.
But don't you think his length influences the fact that any kind of fadeaway, if he can develop it, especially with the spin moves that he's added to his game, any kind of fadeaway is going to be fucking unguardable. It's going to be unguardable.
Fucking spin move.
And if he can lock that shot in and make it like one of his shots, you know what I mean? Like how good it's ironic how good Steph has been about coming around little baby screens and just getting that extra second, because I actually feel like Tatum was doing a fucking really good job of that in the last 3 series, I should say. But he's got that shot, right? When you see him sneak around his screen and he pulls up and you see him pull up with that confidence, you're like automatic. You're like, that's absolutely going in. You're starting to see a Jayson Tatum shot that is going in before it goes in. You know what I mean? You're like, that's good. Next play.
What you say? Yeah.
Everybody should be going backwards. Paul had it. Ray had it. Kevin Garnett had a turnaround jumper from the elbow that he could do. That was I was like, that's fucking going in. You know? I think that when you start to see him gain confidence in those areas, I made this point last time I was on the show. LeBron had to develop a post game to become LeBron James, to become the true Super Saiyan iteration of LeBron James. I think last year we said on this show, it is fucking on record, if Jayson Tatum became a really good playmaker, he wouldn't have to rely so much on his shot to have a good game. What have we seen in this playoffs? His playmaking has skyrocketed.
Set the record for most assists in their first game ever.
Dropping dimes, baby.
He's dropping dimes.
I was waiting for dropping dimes.
Did you literally have a dime there ready?
I did.
You have a dime on your fucking computer.
I love it.
He went from when his volume isn't translating into buckets, he tries to shoot his way out of a slump. He went from that to, okay, well, not my night shooting. Got to trust my teammates. Everybody start making cuts, right? I'm going to draw double teams. And I think he's even got a little bit of playmaking with his back to the basket. If he has anything with his back to the basket, I think he can actually do it for a couple seconds far away from the basket and actually make plays because of his size.
So can I add to that?
Yeah.
So once again, we keep about making comparisons, and like I said, I can do this all night, but think about, shout out to Captain America. I could do this all day, right? So watch video of Vince Carter's skip pass. So what I mean, going across from one side of the court to the other. Vince Carter was the master of I'm on the right side of the wing. I'm going to flip it all the way over to the other side, and someone will be over for the corner 3, which is the easiest shot or the easiest 3 to hit in the NBA. Like if that's another play. If you can master that, he does it every now and then. Like he's really him and Grant have a really good rapport with that. like Grant would build out to the corner, and
I like him
if-
as Grant. I like him as Grant's on the corner. I agree.
yeah, they
They
have a pretty good rapport, but and I see them like they work on it. I see it like they work on it before other games. So yeah, it's all there. But I think because I think Bobby, you said his name, so I'll go back to him. Jayson Tatum actually has a little mini dream shake in his game already. From a Kim Larger one. That little up and under move he does.
Ooh,
it's unguardable. Like it's unguardable. Like it's not.
The only people that can guard it is the refs. The refs are the only ones that can guard it.
Yeah, exactly. For our old school Celtics fans here, Kevin McHale had an up and under move too that was damn near unguardable too. They used to call him a man of 1,000 moves. Like it was ridiculous. So hey, listen, keep doing it. That is Jayson Tatum's best post move though. When he does that up and under, the guy leaves his feet every single time because you have to respect that he's gonna shoot it over you. So once he goes up, it's like whoop, okay, underneath, scoop layup. Next play, as you were saying,
those weird banky layups that he's taken from strange angles are going to start dropping too. Like they're going to start dropping in soon, and it's just going to be like once. And I think somebody finally got through to him in the sense that if you're not shooting well, I think this might be our generation. So me as the old basketball
the AAU culture, bro.
Yeah, but like if you're the kind of player, and Bobby, I'll go to you on this to respond. If you're the kind of player that is having trouble getting to the basket and you're missing layups and you're kind of getting bodied in there and you're having trouble, I personally would rather you keep trying to do that than shoot your way out of a slump, because the calls might start going your way. The defenses might start to switch. They might start to get tired, and good offense beats good defense every single day of the week. So if they start to go to sleep on you a little bit, those layups start to drop. And what happens when those layups start to drop is your shots open up, So for me, I think the best way to get your shots to open up, if you're a Jayson Tatum type especially, is to go to the basket. And I think he's doing more of that. This is stuff we've been calling for years, He's becoming a guy where you have no fucking idea what he might do in a situation if you're the other team.
And no answer
for what he actually does do. And when that stuff starts to drop more and more, granted, he hasn't had, honestly, for his standards, and I think we're beating him with a stick of his own success. I don't think he's had an amazing scoring series by any stretch. But him having this ability to do this other stuff, that's what's making him so dangerous. It's the multifaceted asset of his game. So talk to me about that and like what you think. Yeah, he missed some layups. I agree. But if those start dropping, I mean, the game's over.
So I'll go positive before I go negative. So I think this all leans back to yeah, right. To what Ray's been saying about Jayson Tatum for months, and that's ascension. Man, he has ascended into from a great scorer to an actual like all-star MVP caliber basketball player. To where, listen, yes, he'll go 3 of 19, but he'll have those 13 assists, and those 13 assists aren't just assist gimmies for layups. They're no look fucking passes across the court to a wide open dude for 3. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a different level of playmaking that you've seen from Tatum. And I feel like when it comes to the driving to the hoop, it's so much more controlled most of the time, and so much more, there's so much more purpose behind his drives than we used to see. You know what I mean? You used to see Jayson Tatum driving to the hole almost begrudgingly. You know what I mean? You'd see him not be able to get that sidestep 3. He'd make some stupid fucking move and have just some crazy fucking layup.
And then he'd bitch about
not getting exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now it just feels like he knows he's longer, he knows he's more athletic, and he knows he can beat anyone off the fucking dribble. The only thing I wish that he would do a little less of is it all goes back to that same thing. I'm trying to get that fucking call, because sometimes I feel like his go-to is he's gonna try and drive, and he's gonna try and get that call if he's been shut down on the perimeter. And it's just if he's not driving with that purpose, with that athleticism that he knows he has, it's just it's a different feel. You saw it in game 1 specifically. where he would drive to the hole, they would collapse on him, and it's like he didn't know what to do. It's like he reverted back to 2017 Tatum for a second. I don't know.
I like what he looks like when he does that kind of Jerry West dribble. He's a little tall to be doing it, but when he keeps the ball, he kind of goes left, he goes right, he keeps the ball right, tight, and like long and out in front of him, and then he just boom explodes up. And I think that he looks like he's got the logo look. You'll notice it now that I've said it to you. He does it from the 45-degree angles from the basket, and I love those moves for him because I know what you're talking about, which is the straight shot to the basket moves he makes,
Where he just goes,
where he's just trying to get fucking foul.
Yeah,
Ray, you disagree?
No, I think that's spot on. I mean, this is what we've talked about him not needing to do, is expecting a win to call. Now
that's not to cut you out. I apologize. That's what's most annoying about it, is he doesn't need to do that. It is what, like, every time he does that, I'm sitting there going, like, you had every other opportunity. I agree. They do need to call it, and I feel like it will get called eventually once he's more physically imposing and it looks like he's getting fouled more, because right now he's not there yet. But he
respect
agreed,
that, man.
Agreed, man.
I need some more calls. Fuck that.
But like he has that left move and he has that right move, but when he just tries to go in and body dudes, it's like I don't know if it's that he's not built out enough yet or what it is, but
I don't think
not
that,
getting that call
if we're talking about,
we see other superstars get.
I know what you mean, but if we're talking about things that are never going to be an aspect of his game, we're never going to see Jayson Tatum consistently jumping up and down vertically underneath the basket offensively. And I don't really want to see that, to be honest with you, because that's a good way to get him fucking murdered. But I think my point is, I think he can go from 0 to 60 really fast across 5 yards. So I think that when he's already inside and he gets a good switch, and we're really good at switching offensively too. You know what I mean? Like, there's all this talk about how good we are at switching defensively and how much we'll switch and positionless guarding and 1 through 6 and great rotations and superstars that guard and all these great kind of compliments that the Celtics get for making it this far and the way that they did it. But offensively, we're really good at switching too. And I really get frustrated with Tatum sometimes when he's not more aggressive with his mismatches. Don't you? I think there's times, I mean, as much as Van Gundy and Mark Jackson fucking piss me off, Mark Jackson's been banging this drum all fucking playoffs. He's like, you got that mismatch. You got to be aggressive. You got to be aggressive.
It's time to dance.
Yeah. You got to go to, and Jaylen Brown is 10 million times better at those situations than Jayson Tatum is.
Yeah,
it's right there. The demonstration of how to do it is right there.
The chest.
Oh, stepped on me?
Bro.
Oh, yeah, stepped on me?
Right into your
about
chest.
to be on my highlight reel.
Yeah, right into your fucking chest.
But think so. And once again, it's like we all have done this before, right? Because to me, this segues into what I would like to speak about too, right? So we saw it with Tatum in the fourth quarter, really the third and fourth quarter, when when he gets in that mind which says, "Fuck that, I'm getting to the cup."
Yep.
There's nobody that's going to be in front of, like, it's like okay, we got to unlock that, like, the first 45 minutes. Like, we got to get to a point where it's like not just okay, it's go time, and I get it. You want him to be at his best in the fourth quarter. I'm not knocking it, but believe me. But when he has that mindset of like, yo, I'm getting to the basket. Once again, we remember that game 6. I'm not going out like this. Like that. That's basically what he said. We're doing that. But yeah, I agree with you with JB. The other guy, because we haven't even spoken about him yet. The guy I'm about to say, we haven't spoken about Marcus Smart. Like I'm like, he also had some people on him and was like, I'm taking him to the fucking cup. So it's like it really is a getting yang, even though it's a trio. But Brown and Smart say, fuck it, I'm attacking every single time. And Marcus feels he always has the advantage. So he's which is a good and bad thing. But he redeemed
his offensive stats in this series don't lie though. They speak for themselves.
But Fandman had 2 points the game before, come back with 24.
He was so bad in game 2.
Yeah, 7 rebounds, 5 assists a game.
This has been true. This has been true of this team for 5 years. When we play really bad, it's when Marcus Smart plays really bad.
Bro, I haven't seen Marcus Smart play game, so I'll follow this up obviously with a positive for Marcus. But like, I haven't seen him play a game like he did in game 2, in literally, like you just said, 5 years, man. It was the worst basketball game I've seen him play. Everything he did was wrong. The bounce passes, just everything. But game 3, man, was such a personification and such a good summarization of who Marcus Smart is as a fucking basketball player. It was almost like you could literally sit there and take each play he made and base it off of like an old play from earlier in his career. It was the perfect summary of who he is because he played the most amazing defense. Bro, Marcus Smart literally went like 4-on-1 on a few possessions where he was switching off dudes. It was all Marcus on defense. But the one thing I can't fucking get over, man, is those goddamn bounce passes. He needs to fucking stop doing listen, to throw it to NBA 2K, press X, Marcus. All right. We don't need you pressing circle and triangle every fucking time down the court. I'm sorry. I had to get off that off my chest because
I feel like if Marcus,
fucking crazy, man.
You talk a lot about Marcus Smart being the quarterback of this team. I feel like if Marcus Smart was a quarterback, he'd get picked off by middle linebackers more than anybody else.
He's James
I feel like
he's Jameis Winston as a quarterback.
I don't know about
Jameis Winston with less negative. Jameis Winston if he threw like 20 interceptions.
I'm talking about the actual physical act of passing. I think he misses the underneath guy a lot. I think is his problem, and I think that's why those bounce passes don't work because I think that I just think he misses the guy that's going to make the play from this isn't great radio, but from here to here, as opposed to seeing the guy that's going to make the play from here to here. That's closer to the guy he's trying to pass the ball to. He misses that middle guy that's guarding him, and he sees the guy that's guarding him, and sees the guy that's guarding the guy that he needs to get the ball to, and he misses the guy that's coming in for that steal. That's why Jimmy Butler fucking absolutely murdered him on those so much through that Miami series because his peripherals on those passes are not great.
Well, what's wild though, that wraparound pass, he's actually mastered.
Wait, when he goes to the basket and he fucking whips it back to the paint, that's my favorite.
He's mastered that. Like,
it's so good.
It's wild. It's like, wait, you can make a fucking amazing pass like that every time.
Yeah,
but then
you're gonna make
the guy that's right. It's like the guy, just the more simple play, like that's what. Okay, I get why you said to Jameis because Jameis will make throws
the most athletic, amazing player.
Dude, you watch it, you are incredible. And then it's like, oh, you can't do a 5-yard out. Okay, whatever. But it's
that bounce pass in game 2 where it was, I don't even know who was cutting towards the hoop, but he had legitimately
might have been time.
He had 4 warriors around him, right? And Marcus missed him by like fucking 9 feet. It was one of the worst passes I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. So like
there was a couple of those last night too. The fans was just like, what the fuck?
The most Marcus thing ever is to follow all of that up with 2 of the biggest threes of our entire fucking life, bro. Yep. That corner 3 when I think we were up 1, or actually no, the Warriors were ahead by 1. And he hits that fucking corner 3, bro. And that sets
him. That's him.
For the run for the right. So that's Marcus, and that's what I mean. We saw the full spectrum of the fucking Marcus experience last night, where I was sitting there like, God damn it, Marcus, what the fuck? He had that like behind the head fucking pass and shit. But then he hits that 3, and you're like, listen, this is why this dude is the heart of our team because
that's why you play like that.
Volume.
That's right. Why you live with his volume. And I have to say, just to finish on Marcus, because we're at an hour and I want to definitely get to previewing Friday game 4 with the last few minutes we have. But just to finish on Marcus, at the end of the day, Marcus Smart's probably he's probably had the second most huge shots throughout this playoff run. And that's only because Tatum had 60 massive shots in game 6 against Milwaukee. So if that didn't happen, Marcus Smart would have the most huge made shots of this whole career. Those 2 free throws against Miami, 2 corner threes, or 1 elbow 3 and 1 corner 3 against Miami in that same game that like basically got us the win. Huge 3-point shot in game 3 against Golden State just the other night. These are huge shots this guy's making. And honestly, this is a facet of a championship team. This is a facet of it. They have a guy that you maybe wouldn't least suspect, but you would most medium suspect shooting huge shots. I know his shooting percentage is dismally low, and I think if you were only doing advanced metrics, you would ask him to never shoot a 3-pointer ever again. But I think I would love to be able to break down what a Marcus Smart 3-pointer at a pivotal moment in a game shooting percentage looks like, because honestly, I think it's in the 40s to 50s. You know what I mean? I think huge, loud 3-point shots. I can't keep getting distracted by Marcus. We have to move on.
I'm sorry. Listen, it's fine. Craig loves us. All right. So you You know what's funny though is I feel like what would be an amazing podcast would be an analytics person and a Marcus Smart supporter just sitting there just talking back and forth, because I feel like Marcus Smart is the epitome of anti-analytics, where like if you're an analytics dude,
offensively,
yeah. But those shots that he does hit, listen, we had a conversation where we saw Marcus shot 32% for, was it the Buck series? The Buck series.
Couldn't believe it.
You sat there, we were like, oh my God, I can't believe that.
Couldn't believe it.
Because the shots that he does hit stick out so much more in your mind. And it's just, Mike said it best. Marcus Smart to me, a big middle finger. And that's the way it is with most Celtics fans and Marcus.
You got to live with them. They're a weird fucking team. They have super high highs and super low lows. And I think that is why this podcast has been split right down the middle on how we view them. I think that people that lean a little bit more optimistic in their sports watching are like, but look at all the highs. And I think that people that, worry a little bit more are going, but look at all these glaring errors that honestly they do exist. We can't deny the fact that there's things that they do that are crazy. And you're sitting there going, Jesus Christ, guys, like, just don't keep doing that. Like, and they do it so consistently. They do negative things so consistently. So I want to get onto this preview, and I want to talk about what we do want to see from the Celtics and what we don't want to see from the Celtics. I'll start with Ray. Do you think that we lose the third quarter in Game 4? Why or why not?
So I say yes. I just think that's just going to be a ongoing theme, and I just think that it's just something that's just going to be a part of it, right? Now, something that Bobby has shared with the group. I think I had talked about it earlier too. Ime calling him out, right? he was basically saying, when are you guys gonna stop playing like assholes? And it just speaks to how much respect he is commanded in that locker room, right? Obviously, we've gone through the spectrum of what happened with Brad and how things kind of went south, but for him to call them out in that moment and then them turning around is awesome, right? So hopefully that's a thing for years to come. But on the actual court, I just think that if you attack them early, meaning if you attack Golden State early, obviously people getting in foul trouble help with the aggressiveness. Obviously, you're not going to do a lot of switching. You're not going to do the hand checking they've been doing. Like it's not 90s basketball. That hand check rule is no longer there. But I think if you attack them early, the formula's there. Let JB get hot, and then let Tatum or whoever take over. But collectively, you need 3 or 4 guys that are going to get at least 15 or more. If not, then the series will be tied. But like I said, if they play exactly how they played in Game 3 for the most part, they'll be going back to San Francisco with a 3-1 lead.
Bobby, what do you think? Is this, to me, this feels like the most important game of the series so far. You can make the point that every next game is the most important game of the series so far, but I think this might be hyperbolic, but I have a tendency to do this, especially when we've been talking about the Celtics for a few minutes. I think if we win
about the Celtics, bro,
I think I genuinely believe that if we win Game 4, that's it. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Because I feel like we're at the point now where, you look across all of media right now, you look across all of Twitter, you look everywhere. It's going to take something different happening than what we've seen over 3 games. And I feel like 3 games is a very good sample size in the NBA Finals. You know what I mean? Like when you watch basketball, you know pretty much within 24 to 45 minutes of gameplay, like who is the actual better basketball team on the court. And I feel like when the Celtics play their game, and we've been saying this literally every single series so far, they are the better team top to bottom. So if the Warriors can't come out and take this game on the road and force us to be 2-2 going back to Golden State, it's just it's a matter of inevitability. Like, do you really think that this Celtics team can be turned into a meme where it's like the Celtics blew a 3-1 lead against the Warriors? Listen, I'm sorry. This isn't LeBron James and fucking Kyrie Irving. coming out on the Warriors. I'm sorry. It's a different Stephen Curry. It's a Klay Thompson that, had 2 bad games.
Doesn't look like herself.
It's a completely different Klay. He looked great. He looked better in game 3. He looked better.
I just mean overall. I think the mark is consistency, and I think Klay was just a lot more consistent when he was at his absolute best.
But like, if Draymond's not coming out there being an absolute fucking menace and getting in the Celtics' heads, and the Celtics aren't turning the ball over, if they do what Ray has been pleading with them to do for 4 straight series, is play 2-3 consistent games in a row, the Celtics can't be beaten by this Warriors team. And I know that's such a homer take, but like,
no, I do think we're the better team. I think anybody that's been watching can tell you we're the better team.
If we play a basketball game 60 minutes without having almost 20 turnovers, without having just inexplicable defensive lapses, the Celtics should win this series, man. And like, I don't mean to be like that guy. Like, it's disappointing. The Celtics are a better basketball team. I think they have a better coach. I think it's just top to bottom.
Ooh.
The Celtics.
That's not provable.
It's not provable.
100%
is not provable.
It makes the argument null and void right off the bat.
They both have the same.
But
not as coaches, they don't. No, they don't.
I feel like they have the same.
They came out of pop. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but they have the same. They have the same. I feel like what I love most about we don't need to get off on it. Ime.
Nah.
God damn it. We don't need to get off on a tangent on him. Craig will kill us. But it's just it's top to bottom. I feel like we're so much better than them. And if we come out and play our game, there's no fucking reason why we shouldn't be going back to Golden State 3-1. If we're not, I guarantee you I'll be sitting here sticking up for them, and I'll be telling Rayshawn, like, listen, they don't fucking lose 2 in a row. Because it's a true statement. They don't lose 2 in a row. But I just, you know what I mean? You look at the games we've seen when the Celtics play their game, man. And it's been the same for 4 straight series. They can't be beaten. And they're not going to back down from anyone, regardless if they have 4 championships, if it's Kevin Durant.
I'm fired up.
It is.
Let's go.
It doesn't matter.
Let's go.
When this team plays the basketball they're capable of, they can't be beat. And I can't believe we're here, but we're 2 fucking wins away from a championship. So let's fucking go, baby.
Let's go, baby.
I think that's a great place to wrap up. I fully am on board with the idea that
remember we played in the parade. I'm sorry. Remember we played in the parade after game 2 of the Heat, bro. We said they're gonna go down. We planned it. All right, we're ready.
Yeah. I think that the Celtics team is very capable of doing what they have not been able to do for this entirety playoffs, which is take the early opportunity to put a team away in a series. I think that this game, the context of the game we're going into, has been consistently the game we've been the worst at over the course of the playoffs. But I believe, and I know you believe, Bobby, and it seems like Ray, you believe now that they're capable of anything. Anything's possible. So just to finish up, I want nothing but a score prediction for game 4. Ray.
107-102.
Celtics dub?
Yep. Celtics dub, yep.
Bobby?
110. I'm going to go like 92. I think we smoke them. Let's go.
Okay.
Cool. All right. I'm going to go 142 to 122.
Holy shit.
Is my
holy shit
for game 4. 142.
The most entertaining game of basketball we've ever seen.
Yeah, because
we can't even go against that because you've been spot on. So
yeah,
I know that's far fetched. I'm okay
if
with
we
that.
score close to 147 points, DK, I'm sending
142.
142. I'm sending you a fucking like prize packet.
I'll tell you why I
with
think
some goodies in there and shit, bro. If we score 142 points,
I'll tell you briefly why I think it. I think that this series, this playoffs as a whole, has delivered to the fans, to the neutral, to the team, to the fans of the teams watching. I think it's delivered on the drama. I think that if we win the next game, that the drama is over. I think then you're watching an inevitable death. It's the one samurai with one working hand, just trying valiantly to win, and the other samurai putting him away in an honorable fashion. But I think that this series and this playoffs as a whole has given us a lot. And I think the last real thing it's going to give us is an offensive showcase by the Boston Celtics, because I think we're due, to be quite honest with you. So I hope it's true. I hope we're all right. I'm glad we're all positive. This is what happens when you never do a show after a loss. For Rayshawn Buchanan, for the real BK, Bob Kelly, for our wonderful producer who's probably not super pleased with us at the moment because he has to get back to whatever it is that he does on anime websites. That's an inside joke. All right, you wouldn't get it unless you were there. And for myself, DK Sizzle, Bleed Green, Go Seas. Can't wait to book my ticket to the parade, and I'll see you guys all there for our first in-person hangout of the entirety of our podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Go Seas. Good night.